Hi everybody and welcome to TorFX Weekly Market Update. It's the 3rd of May 2016. I'm Nathan Bray, I'll be your host. We're going to take a look at all the major news events coming out. It's Newsweek, we've got the US non-farm payroll figures coming out on Friday night, and we'll have a look at all the news and what to expect for the week ahead. We'll also take a close look at the euro against the US dollar. It's up at a critical level. But first of all, let's have a look at Janet Yellen's comments last week out of the Fed and the evidence that supports a weakening US economy.
Janet Yellen left US interest rates unchanged last week at less than 0.5% and suggested that with the US economy recovering, it could be smooth sailing for a potential rate rise in June. However, there is a bit of a disparity between what the Fed is laying down and what the market is in fact believing. So let's have a look at some of the news coming out on big American stocks and make our own decision. And remember, we are getting close to an election, so Janet Yellen, of course, wants to keep a job, no doubt, for the next 4 years. So let's have a look here. ExxonMobil has been downgraded from its AAA rating. Then you've got big tech stock Intel is laying off 12,000 highly paid American workers. And then you've got the bellwether of the market, Apple, okay, is feeling a force to the downside. CNBC is saying more powerful than gravity. And then we've got this interesting story from Target retail stores where the stock price is plummeting, and of course the media is spinning it in such a way that it's to do with a transgender toilet. Now, I think the facts might be that it's because retail sales figures are actually in the toilet, heading down towards a almost negative position there. So I would say to myself that people are already not going to Target and spending money as a result of the retail sales figures then because of maybe this transgender toilet. All right, let's have a look at the US economy based on the facts from last week. All right, the data that came out last week, we've got core durable goods into negative territory. The car industry isn't looking too good. Consumer confidence was down. We had the federal funds rate, of course, come out unchanged, but this for me was the big one. The advanced GDP figure is at 0.5%, weaker than expected. And remember, when Janet Yellen raised interest rates in December, the prediction was for GDP or growth to be up around 3%, and it's at 0.5%. So it's looking very, very weak. Your unemployment claims, okay, is still up above 250,000, and then your personal spending is close to zero, and your Chicago PMI is very close to going underneath that 50 or contracting, as well as your revised University of Michigan consumer sentiment is down also. So things are looking pretty weak indeed. So I want to look at the week ahead. Of course, we're into Newsweek, so the first week of the month of May. So we've got to keep that in the back of our minds to see how we're moving into this Newsweek. So to start the week off, it's all about the Aussie and the New Zealand for me. We've got a cash rate coming out on the Aussie expected to remain unchanged, an RBA rate statement, and of course the annual budget coming out on the Aussie. Expect some volatility there. We do have some pound manufacturing PMI data expecting to be fairly steady. And then New Zealand are coming out with their employment change, and of course their unemployment rate is in fact expected to rise to 5.5%. Moving into Thursday, we've got some pound sterling construction PMI coming out, as well as your retail sales figures from the Eurozone, trade balance coming out of Canada, and then for me, this is a big one for me, this ISM non-manufacturing PMI. We need to see that stay above 50, and it's expected to be fairly steady. And then we've got some Aussie retail sales figures and a trade balance, and it is in fact expected to be an improvement on those Aussie retail sales figures. As we move into Thursday, got a few bank holidays in the Eurozone. Your services PMI is coming out on the pound sterling, and your unemployment claims is supposed to be up to 261,000 on the US currency. But Friday's the big day, of course. So Friday, you've got your Canadian employment change and your unemployment rate. And at the same time, you've got your average hourly earnings coming out on the US, expected to be remaining steady. And the non-farm employment change, the official figure, of course, is coming out, and it's supposed to be just up above 200,000, moving south from its previous month. So going to be an interesting week ahead. So look for some volatility. But to finish off, I want to have a look at some charts that are at key levels. So I'm going to start here on this Euro US dollar, and you can see this Euro US dollar is back up to a level where it's had a high probability of failure over the last year or so. But it has been building with higher tops and bottoms, and with some weak data coming out on the US, just keep an eye on maybe this 114.71 breaking. If it fails here, of course, it's just staying in this wider range.
Well, that's all from me. I look forward to speaking to you all next week. This is Nathan Bray for TorFX.